what he was.
You gotta explain.
Are you being funny right now?
I'm Lucille Ball. When I'm being funny, you'll know it.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things being the Ricardos got factually right and wrong.
You can't tell people the truth, they think you're lying. You have to lie to make them think you're telling the truth.
For this list, we'll be looking at details from this biographical drama that remained faithful to the lives of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, as well as liberties that Aaron Sorkin took. Did you love being the Ricardos? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Ball's communist accusations. Right. Ball is remembered for Vita Mita Vegemin, The Chocolate Factory, and other classic comedy bits, but nobody was laughing when she was accused of communism.
I'm surprised that not one person stood up and said, "Hold it, Lucille Ball's going to attack us? Come on."
As the film suggests, these accusations stemmed from a survey that Ball took over 15 years earlier, registering as a member of the Communist Party. According to writer and former communist Rena Vale, Ball also opened her home to a class about the party. Coming from a working-class family, Ball wanted to appease her socialist grandfather, Fred Hunt. By 1953, though, she was essentially a liberal Democrat.
Lucille Ball's a threat to the American way of life?
Does the FBI have any case against Lucy?
Ball convinced the House Un-American Activities Committee that she had never been a communist or voted in the party's favor. Ball emerged from the Red Scare virtually unscathed, although she came close to losing everything.
Quite a shock to everybody, like, oh, here it goes, the show's over.
Yeah, we thought the show might be
be all
finished
over.
because people's careers were ruined in those days by
Yeah.
things like this.
Number 9. Lucy dominated the ratings. Right. Being the Ricardos notes that I Love Lucy was an unprecedented ratings juggernaut.
And action!
I had no idea it was gonna be a hit.
Airing a total of 6 seasons, the sitcom was America's most watched TV show for 4.
Oh, I feel sort of funny.
Oh? What'd he say?
He said it might be any time now.
Lucy Goes to the Hospital was a high point with a rating of 67.7, attracting more than 70% of US TV sets. Even the rebroadcasts proved so popular that they innovated the idea of reruns.
Nearly 60 years later, it's the most watched holiday program this year. But unlike back then, this episode was colorized and nearly 9 million people watched it.
In an era before streaming, on demand, or even tapes, people rearranged their schedules to watch Lucy. Marshall Field's department store closed early Monday nights because nobody was shopping. They were watching Lucy. Not even President Eisenhower's inauguration could compete in the ratings.
Ricky, this is it.
This is it! Let's go!
Number 8. Ball's B-movie status. Right. Before ruling the small screen, Ball was the queen of the Bs. Like Marie Windsor, who also shared the title, Ball starred in numerous B pictures. Alas, she could never find a vehicle that played to her strengths.
If they couldn't find her type, it certainly wasn't from lack of trying. Lucille cycled through dozens of types, several hair colors, and 4 major studios searching for an identity.
As Being the Ricardos depicts, Too Many Girls was among Ball's most significant films, since it introduced her to Desi Arnaz, who played one of her bodyguards.
Oh, I will not give up. It's not Chanel. It's not Guerlain. It's not Gaultier. I must be slipping.
The Lovebirds eloped almost 2 months after the movie's debut. The Big Street was one of their last RKO films, although Ball actually appeared in several more movies with MGM and other studios before My Favorite Husband paved the way for I Love Lucy.
If you really love someone enough, they'll know it without any presents.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Liz, I love you.
You mean no presents?
To think, this star of film, radio, and TV was indeed kicked out of acting school.
Heaven only
Number 7. Vivian Vance didn't like William Frawley or her wardrobe. Right. Just as Ethel and Fred constantly argued, Vance and Frawley didn't have the best rapport off-screen. Since Frawley was 22 years older, Vance felt that he should play her father rather than her husband.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Lucy, is that my date? He's no dream, he's a nightmare.
Although she was only 2 years Ball senior, the wardrobe department aimed to make Vance look older. In Being the Ricardos, an argument arises over Vance's weight loss. While it's unclear if this ever happened, Vance once claimed that her contract required her to weigh 10 pounds more than Ball, which remains unconfirmed. In any case, Vance remained friends with Ball, but her relationship with Frawley further soured after she turned down a Fred and Ethel spinoff.
Well, he should have more consideration. After all, I gave him the best years of my life.
Were those the best?
Vance would co-star on The Lucy Show, but she insisted on more glamorous clothes.
We're going to get to see all the shows. We're not going to see one of those shows unless you take off that hat. What's the matter with it? It looks like a fresh crop of crabgrass.
Number 6. Ball and Arnaz's difficult marriage. Right. Although Ricky was often against Lucy's endeavors, Arnaz was supportive of Ball's career aspirations.
Pictures up!
I worked side by side with my husband, who was genuinely impressed by me.
Their marriage faced numerous other challenges, though. Aside from frequently arguing, Ball believed that Arnaz was being unfaithful. While this is reflected in Being the Ricardos, it overlooks another fact that put a strain on their relationship: Arnaz's reported alcoholism.
He was a notorious womanizer, and he was a pretty good drinker, and he brought a great shadow over her life and depressed her a great deal.
After almost 20 years together, the two divorced in 1960, the same year the Lucy-Desi comedy hour ended. However, this wasn't the first time that Ball filed for divorce. Ball was prepared to leave Arnaz over his alleged infidelity and drinking in September 1944, but they reconciled before anything was finalized. The marriage eventually ended nonetheless, although Arnaz stated shortly before his death, "I Love Lucy was never just a title."
My father and my mother stayed good friends after the divorce. It took a few years to calm down, but they stayed good friends to the bitter end.
Number 5. Episode order. Wrong. Being the Ricardos takes place during the production of Fred and Ethel Fight. While it's mentioned that the show has produced over 30 episodes, Fred and Ethel Fight was actually the 22nd episode. Lucy Does a TV Commercial is referenced multiple times, even though Fred and Ethel Fight predated it.
Hello, friends. I'm your Vitamin Benjamin girl.
The writers have several episodes in development, but some wouldn't see the light until much later. Lucy's Italian movie notably didn't air until season 5. Lucy Tells the Truth was a season 3 episode, but the original script did include a bit involving an IRS auditor.
What sort of an establishment is it?
Oh, well, it's a 3-ring circus.
Ricky did address the audience about Ball's communist accusations before an episode taping, but it wasn't Fred and Ethel Fight. It was season 3's The Girls Go Into Business.
I want you to meet my favorite wife, my favorite redhead. In fact, that's the only thing red about her, and even that's not legitimate.
Number 4. Ball's pregnancy. Right. Nowadays, pregnancy storylines are commonplace in sitcoms. In 1952, though, even saying the word pregnancy on TV was viewed as shocking.
At that time, situation comedy still had married people sleeping in twin beds with the lamp between them. You always had to believe that there was immaculate conception for any of the children.
Lucy and Ricky were rarely even seen in the same bed. Nevertheless, when Ball became pregnant with her second child, Arnaz and her wanted to write a storyline around the Ricardos becoming parents.
Well, the sponsors weren't too thrilled with this. And they said, well, maybe you can do a few shows, or you can have her stand behind the chairs and not show she's pregnant.
But Lucy insisted on doing it.
Although the subject had previously been addressed on Mary Kay and Johnny, CBS still had reservations about the idea. The network ultimately allowed Lucy to appear pregnant, but they'd still have to work around saying the word. Taking a note from the French, the big reveal episode was entitled Lucy is enceinte.
Really? Why didn't you tell me?
Why, you didn't give me a chance.
Are you kidding?
No.
It's me!
Ironically, the following episode was called Pregnant Women Are Unpredictable, but the taboo word still wasn't said or displayed. Number 3. The J. Edgar Hoover Call. Wrong. As mentioned before, Arnaz helped shoot down the communism accusations surrounding Ball during a passionate speech before a studio audience.
Lucy had never been a communist. Not now and never will be. I was kicked out of Cuba because of communism. We despise everything about it.
Being the Ricardos changes much of the dialogue, though. Sorkin doesn't even include Arnaz's famous line, "The only thing red about Lucy is her hair," and even that is not legitimate. The most glaring artistic liberty is when Arnaz gets J. Edgar Hoover himself on the phone to confirm that Ball is not a communist. While that didn't happen, Ball's House Un-American Activities Committee testimony was forwarded to Hoover.
Good boy, you got him. Oh, look, he's colder than a mackerel. Good work. Oh, anything for J. Edgar.
After referencing Hoover in Season 5's The Great Train Robbery, the FBI director sent Ball a fan letter saying how much he enjoyed the episode. However, Hoover reportedly kept a close eye on Ball even after her name was cleared.
We've been through worse than this.
We have?
No.
Number 2. Ball insisted that Arnaz play her husband. Right. Since My Favorite Husband served as the basis for I Love Lucy, CBS naturally wanted Richard Denning to reprise his role. As we see in the film, Ball insisted that her TV husband be played by her actual husband.
You know, I did this show so Desi and I could be together.
Ball knew that Arnaz had the talent, but even more importantly, she saw this as a way to spend more time with him. CBS did not share the same enthusiasm. Despite being a real-life couple, the network argued that audiences wouldn't believe an all-American woman would be married to a Cuban man.
And Lucy said, well, I am married to a Cuban band leader, and she persevered.
If CBS thought that Lucille Ball was going to cave in without a fight, they picked the wrong redhead.
This was long before interracial couples were regularly portrayed on screen. Nevertheless, Ball remained firm, and after putting on a successful vaudeville act with Arnaz, CBS decided to take a chance on the quote-unquote bongo player.
In it, we did the routine where Lucy plays a clown who plays a cello and tries to get into his act, which became the basis of the pilot.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. This all happened in 1 week. Wrong. According to Being the Ricardos, 3 of the show's major hurdles happened in one busy week.
This is places for Scene A. Scene A.
In reality, many of the events depicted in the film were spread out. Ball became pregnant with Desi Arnaz Jr. in 1952, when I Love Lucy still would have been in the midst of its first season. Another 9 months after Arnaz Jr.'s birth, Ball made her House Un-American Activities Committee testimony, and Arnaz Sr. defended her in a speech to the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you all been reading the papers today, but up till now, you only read what other people have said about Lucy.
The Confidential magazine issue asking, "Does Desi really love Lucy?" didn't publish until January 1955. Regardless, Sorkin decided early on that he wanted the film's narrative to take place over a single production week. While not entirely historically accurate, there's still a lot to love about Being the Ricardos.
I care about what works. I care about what's funny. I care about you.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.